Good evening. This is the Ogden City Council meeting for January 22nd, 2013. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present. Now we'll have Vice Chair Garner lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would everyone please rise and repeat after me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. Next up is approval of minutes. The minutes of the work session of June 12th, 2012, and the study session of July 10th, 2012. Councilmember Gochner.
Thank you. Yes, I have reviewed those and found them to be accurate.
And the minutes of the work session of November 27th, 2012. Councilmember Heyer.
Yes, Chair. I've also reviewed those minutes and found them to be a representation of that meeting.
And the minutes of the joint study session and the special meeting of December 11th, 2012. Councilmember Stevens.
Yes, Chair, I've reviewed those minutes and they are correct, and I propose that we approve the minutes that have been presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from Councilmember Stevens and a second from Councilmember Heyer. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. That passes. Next up is common consent. And the 3 items listed there.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the 3 items of common consent and set the public hearing for February 5th, 2013.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion from Vice Chair Garner to accept the items listed under common consent and a second from Councilmember Wicks. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Okay. Next up is reports from the Planning Commission.
Mr. Montgomery will be handling both of these items. His fancy sweater.
Mr. Chair, members of the council, I believe the first one is the R4.
It's a short term.
Short-term business.
One is the first one? Okay. As you may be aware, the city back in August put a pending notice of ordinance out, which said we will not be entertaining any other requests or considerations if they look or smell like a short-term lending business license. You recall a couple years ago, we had enacted an ordinance that defined short-term lending, and it defined it in such a way that the loans were generally less than 6 months. There has been a situation as time goes on where we create one ordinance and then the industry looks at ways to get around that ordinance by saying, well, maybe our loans are a little bit longer than 6 months, therefore we're no longer short-term. So we felt it would be appropriate to have the pending regulation to look and make sure we did not have those type of loopholes, so that your original intent of when we adopted the ordinance could be in effect, in that there'd be no more short-term lenders. If you recall, we had set a limit of 15 back in that ordinance in 2011, and we presently had 22 when we did that, which meant there would be no other short-term lenders to be able to be in the Ogden City unless 7 of them had vacated, so that we would be at that magic number of 15. As we looked at then giving the pending regulation, what are some things that are necessary for us to make sure that this ordinance can still be in effect? We looked at that idea of just a month, the 6-month lending time, and realized that was not a good standard. We needed something that really started to reflect of how these businesses operate. And so our first proposed ordinance change is in the definition of the short-term loan business. We tried to clarify that in terms of what it is and what it isn't. rather than just say it's something that loans less than 6 months. So we talked about the fact that they generally have one or two of the following things, and it's an either or, it's not both. Either their interest rates are 30% or higher, or they're extending credits in an amount generally less than $10,000. And so both of those would then start to classify them as a short-term lender. One or the other would classify them as a short-term lender. But then how to make a distinction between them and other operations that are financial institutions became the next step of that definition. So we defined that, and I'll read it to you, the businesses such as check cashers, deferred deposit lenders, and title lenders would, again, fit into short-term lending, but does not include establishments whose primary activity is real estate sales or real estate transactions, making financing available for like grocery stores when buying food or those type of things, or items that are retail or installment loans, like you buy furniture on a installment loan, and even though the percent sometimes depending on what you buy may be higher, you're getting a product for your service, for your money. Selling vehicles or financing purchase of vehicles, home improvements are real and personal property, pawn shops, again, they have their own regulations, insurances, charitable organizations, and banks and financial institutions, that those would be exempt then from being called a short-term lender. So we then said these are not a short-term lender, even though they may have one item which is maybe 30%, maybe it might be a credit card or those type of things, but we're saying overall what they do is not short-term lending. And to help then clarify that again, we talked about that looking at the primary business activity as part of that definition also of what are the valuable goods that are sold and where's their main emphasis at in their business. And then also stated and added the one clarification that a short-term loan business may offer more than one type of credit service to it. The ones we have now, they maybe do title loans, they may do check cashing. We say that can be still contained in that short-term loan business. So that definition hopefully took care of some of those loopholes that existed before, because just due in 6 months we realized that was some problems. Another change that is being proposed to you tonight too in the ordinance then takes place in the actual regulation regarding short-term lenders, and that is additional disclosures. And this is found in 151334, which deals with short-term lending. But it talks about if not otherwise required by state law, that the short-term lender also needs to post information about their interest rates, the general type of things you do as a financial statement of if you're getting a loan, this is what you're paying and this is what the interest rates are. To have that disclosure clear and upfront, so that people who go there know what they're getting into, and not just I'm signing a document, quickly signing, getting my money, and then realizing what happens later on. So we also feel that is another important step we need to add into the procedures for short-term lending institutions, that those who fall into this would have those requirements with them also. The Planning Commission looked at this, and their recommendation to you, they voted unanimously to approve this proposal, and it's in front of you tonight for your consideration.
Just one note, please, on the agenda, both for item 6A and 6B, there should be public input allowed for those. Thank you. After you've had a chance to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I have one question, Mr. Montgomery. Tell me again what is keeping these short-term lenders from calling themselves a bank?
Well, the key thing is, what is their main function? What are they lending on? And then what is the interest rate they're charging, or what is the amount of the loan, one or the other? And is that their only action in terms of generally short-term financing? If that is all that they're doing, and it doesn't fit into any of these exclusions, They are a short-term lender by our definition.
And I thought, well, a bank is excluded, and so if they call themselves a bank,
The
even
bank
though-
will fall underneath the federal regulations that have to follow a bank, where
Okay.
these don't have those.
So they're defined by federal regulation?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. I just, I mean, if it's a duck,
There's reserves, there's all kinds of things they have to keep to be called a bank. So that's not an easy process to go through and a very expensive one.
okay, that's good enough for me.
Does this have substance if we were ever called into a court of law to defend this, this part of the
We believe it
ordinance?
does, otherwise we wouldn't be proposing it. Yeah.
Are we still at 22?
We're still at 22. We haven't seen any leave.
But none snuck in, though,
Yeah,
did
we haven't got any more.
Yeah, there haven't been any that have moved in, so.
Okay. And now we'll open it up for public comment. Is it a public hearing?
Seeing no public comment, if there's no further discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt.
I'll second that.
We don't have to close the public comment?
No.
Okay. We have a motion from Councilmember Gochner to adopt proposed ordinance 2013-6 and a second from Councilmember Heyer. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gochner,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Councilmember Van Hoosier,
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gardner,
Aye.
Chair Blair.
Aye, that passes. And now amendments to lot width and side yard setbacks.
This item is before you for your consideration. Comes about partly because of the Jefferson Community Plan, which you'll have a work session on later today, and also because of projects that are being proposed. And as planning staff looked at that, we realized that our present R4 regulation for the area known as the Jefferson Community, which in this case is between Wall and Grant and 27th and 31st, which is zoned R4, the present design standards do not fit anything that exists out there. The R4 was really intended for apartment and office development, and it was applied to a largely single-family neighborhood years ago when it was placed in the Jefferson area. And since then, the Jefferson neighborhood has continued on. And the homes, many of the homes are on lots that are between 30 and 45 feet in width, tied together, compact. That is the character of the neighborhood. And so one of the things the plan talks about is that the characteristic of the neighborhood be preserved in the zoning, that new projects to take place reflect the development patterns of that community. And so as we took a look at that and took a look at the lot sizes and what really exists out there, we realized to meet the present ordinance would really start to create something that's out of character, that would create more of a suburban feel than kind of an urban neighborhood, which the Jefferson area is on the south side of the CBD. So we studied the different lot widths, tried to figure out what makes sense. We also then looked at what took place when we did the East Central neighborhood plan. We did the very same procedure there. We started looking at the lot widths. And in the East Central, both the R2 EC, the R3 EC, and the R15 EC, we realized that, again, the lots of the old ordinance, lot width requirements, didn't meet what existed. And we used the same approach there. And so we felt that would be an appropriate approach here to suggest, because of those studies we did, that the lot width be reduced to 40 foot in those areas that are in that Jefferson neighborhood, not the other R4 areas. They would all still remain with the 60-foot lot width requirement and the same setback standards. And we got several R4 areas throughout the city, but this change would only apply to this Jefferson neighborhood defined by those boundaries of 27th to 31st Wall to Grant. And to reduce the lot width to 40 feet, 60 foot for a corner lot, and then reduce the side yard setbacks to 5 and 9 feet. Again, keeping the proportions that exist on the other homes around the area with these lots too. And so the consideration before you tonight is to make a change that would affect the lot width and the setbacks in that section of the R4 area that is in the Jefferson neighborhood, not the rest of the R4, which would keep it in context with the other built environment around it. Any questions?
This was passed unanimously by the city, by the
By
planning
the Planning
commission.
Commission, yes.
Thank you.
We will now accept public comment. Is there any further discussion on this?
Seeing none, Chair Blair, I move that we do proposed ordinance 2013-2, amending the lot width and the side yard setback to an R4 zone.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion to approve proposed ordinance 2013-2 from Councilmember Van Hoosier and a second from Vice Chair Garner. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Councilmember Van Hoosier,
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks,
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner,
Aye.
Vice Chair Garner,
Aye.
Chair Blair.
Aye, that passes. Next is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. In this form of government, all city personnel are the responsibility of the administration, not of the council. Please discuss any concerns you may have regarding the staff with the mayor, chief administrative officer, or department directors. No takers? Okay. Any comments from administration?
A couple of quick things. Just wanted to talk about two unique things that are going on now and happened over the weekend. We had a great store opening with Gear 30 downtown. I appreciated a lot of the council support and the opening of that. I think that's long overdue as part of our downtown outdoor recreation cluster, and it was great to see the energy and excitement there. And then Sundance is going on, and contrary to popular belief, that does leave a great economic impact in our community, and we'll work to take care of that myth. But I encourage everybody to get down. That's a real unique thing that's happening in our downtown, and I appreciate Public Works. I don't see Jay here, but they did a lot of snow removal to accommodate all those incoming guests and visitors. So I'd like to publicly thank our Public Works Department for their help there.
Comments from council staff
Nothing tonight, thanks.
and council members?
Mr. Chair, I echo what the mayor has just mentioned. There are a lot of things going on. We actually even had a new restaurant come into the area, and it seems like the lot is full down there. And if you've come along Washington Boulevard, Councilwoman Van Hoosier brought up again about the flags on Washington Boulevard, and we appreciate the quick work that has been taken care of with those flags. The only suggestion I have is if we could have maybe Channel 17 do a educational aspect on why we've got those flags there. So that would be something that would may be beneficial to us. And I would hope that maybe in the future we could rejuvenate the Winterfest. I think that provides a lot of activity for us in our community.
I guess,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to give a shout out for the flags as well, and they were well used at the Sundance movie last night, so
They
thanks
just need
to everyone.
Ogden logos.
We'll work on that.
They will. They didn't have time. They were going so quickly to get them done. They just didn't have time to.
Volunteer for Sundance. I've been down there every night and will continue till it's over. But I think the crosswalk improvements and the snow removal in front of the theater and the curb being painted red, which is a state highway, but we did it anyway, and all the accommodations we've made to this. And as I stand and talk to people that are in line, everybody says only Ogden is the one who comes. I can't name the states and the countries of people that were here that are enjoying our beautiful city, and they just can't get over the fact that they can ski in the day and go to Sundance at night. So it's really becoming more and more attractive. There were a lot of people who come up on the front runner from the Salt Lake area. They appreciate the fact that 25th Street is active and they can eat and have dinner and then go to a movie and quick access in and out. So it's been really fascinating to see who comes. And last night we had one of the major directors and his entire family there that spoke to the audience about creating a movie, and I think that's something we don't understand, how long it takes and what all is involved. So it was a very exciting time, and there was not one vacant seat in the theater last night at the Egyptian, with 810 seats sold.
Wow.
That isn't the first time, so
Great.
enjoy it while it's here.
And I think those flags add a element of safety to our crosswalks.
The people that commented, the Sundance people commented, about the fact of the safety issue of crossing the street. But I mean, just the patrons that had parked on the other side of Washington Boulevard. And it was really fun to see people and other people, and now people on Washington in traffic are watching, because they'll have a week of constant people walking back and forth, or 10 days really. And I'm sure that'll be a real improvement to the street. But thanks to Jay and Justin and Perry and all the workmen that spent the time, because it's cold and hard and miserable to be out there doing it, but they really stepped up and made something happen very quickly.
And I would just echo what the mayor said. I was able to attend the Gear 30 ribbon cutting, and that's a beautiful building, and the equipment that they have is amazing. So very, very fun. So if no other comments, motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn from Councilmember Heyer and a second from Vice Chair Garner. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Okay. And as a reminder, a special redevelopment agency meeting will be held immediately following the City Council meeting. A City Council work session will also be held immediately following the special redevelopment agency meeting. The purpose of the work session is to discuss the Jefferson Community Plan, to receive council staff review of the capital improvement plan, and to discuss other council business.